Ship's company, home! So said, sir. Make it so.
So, what was that one?
Ceremony of sunset and the lowering of the Bayleaf flag for the next. Nice service.
Angela, we are so pleased, all of us, that you can be here with us this evening, and together with Ken, who many will remember from his earlier RFA days, and of course your daughter Emma, and Michael. Now Emma, if you don't know already, Emma was christened on board the ship some time ago, I won't say when, and her name is on the ship's bill.
Was all the workforce were there with pride and joy, and that their hard work, commitment and dedication had built another great RFA in true tradition of Camel Lairs.
Can I give you a toast to our lady sponsor, whose time with us is coming to an end this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I spent a lot of time this morning contemplating what I might say this evening as I we bid farewell to another of the Leaf class. Yeah, I did have a speech prepared. It wasn't a great speech, it was quite a good one. It had a few things that I was going to say. I was going to talk about the Leaf boat being the backbone of the RFA tanker capability in recent times. As a survivor perhaps of previous tanker shortages. I reflected on the distance the ship steamed. I'll come back to that in a minute. The Razzies completed. I had one or two good stories and one or two perilous moments perhaps survived. My speech, the one I was going to give, spoke of the occasions in which Bayleaf has accompanied the global deployments, which we've heard about some tonight, been part of the task force, both to the South Atlantic and to the Gulf, has been mentioned also, and the cumulative 12 years that the ship spent out in the Gulf as the Arabian tanker. But most of all, what I was going to say was talking about success. I was going to set out how this super tanker was completed at Camel Lairs in Birkenhead, as we heard, the last merchant vessel to be built there by the company, and how we've also heard that it was launched and named by Angela in October 1981. And I'm delighted to see senior people from Camel Lairs with us this evening. I was going to say, as we've also heard, how she stretched her rigs on that first trip with the Grey Rover, passed through Fost and headed south straight away into Falklands waters. A baptism in fire, and I'm sure some of you have met the people who are here tonight who were on that very trip. Whilst there, she replenished the QE2. And it's strange, you know, that we met up with the QE2 again recently and struck up a pretty good relationship with her in her final resting place in Dubai. Maybe her final resting place. And it was good to see her again after all that time, just as this ship's life was coming to an end also. I was going to mention the rescues this ship's been involved in. The MV Hui Li in 1986 off Hong Kong, and in the Gulf in 2002 the MV Falcon. Some of you may have been there for those, saving the crew's lives of both of those vessels. I might have perhaps ventured into recall the replenishment with the USS Missouri, this during Global 86. And this was the first post-war RAS between a battleship, a USS battleship and an RFA. I would definitely have talked about the two Gulf Wars, Op Granby and Op Tellick, and recalled her exemplary service through both of those wars. And I would of course have mentioned, as I said earlier, the 1.4 million miles she steamed, thank you for those figures, Ness, 47 times around the world equivalent, and that in this last deployment alone she's issued 60,000 tonnes of diesel to 154 RASs and 14 different nations. So over the last 30 years she's also been commanded by many, some of whom I'm delighted to say are here with us this evening. Sirs, you two are very welcome. And so as I reflected on the content of what I intended to say tonight, I did recall the joyous occasion held for the commissioning of the Bay class, the birth of a new platform and the crew aboard her. It was a special time, and some of you may have been there, and as most traditions do, the actor's ceremony and moving aboard and the smiles on the people's faces made an important point. It made me ask myself a question: what exactly is a ship? Well, ships are essentially just steel. They're not alive, are they? Surely it's the people who bring them alive, and only when they're manned. And I believe that, or at least I did. Heaven knows I've said it myself and heard it said so many times over the years. But today, now as I stand before you, in a ship that we've cared so much about, I'm really not so sure. So I shelved my speech and I offer the following eulogy to explain my uncertainty. As we think about it, what about the hundreds of sailors who called on number 8, number 4 to some, and put their uniforms on and manned the departments around the ship? What of their hard work and their sweat, their stresses and strains required in everyday shipboard life? For a ship at sea is an isolated community with no escape from the workplace. Did they not impart some of their own dedicated spirit and professional pride onto the walls of this ship and the spaces over the years? Does some of what those sailors went through, the commitment they made, not live on in the ship as it now begins to fall silent? And if we listen, can we hear it now?